Hi. When you hear about equality, what immediately comes to mind? To me, it's killer stereotypes, or stereotypes that harm. From everyday discrimination to rape, murder, and suicide, they cost us dearly. They drain public spending, damage productivity, and they impact everyday lives. To address them, I look towards feminism, but I think not in its current form. So, this is a conversation I've had a lot with men and women, and the reaction I get is normally very distinctive. It's either an eye roll or an open ear, and I'm really keen to see your reaction. So, I was gang raped, but I want to help men. And by discussing why me, why now, and what next, I hope you can understand how I formed my view. And we'll start with why me. Trust me, I never used to think that men needed any help. But then again, I didn't think that I did as a woman either. Growing up, I was surrounded by strong role models, and I never had any cause to doubt that hard work would pay off professionally. I studied law and finance, and I learnt to question how effective they are. These systems which are in place to help society, but do they really work? And after graduation, I asked the same question again, but this time about communication systems as technology advanced rapidly. I read Modern Society and Global Transformation at Cambridge, and I analysed the impact of mobile phones on everyday interaction. And one of the conclusions that I drew there was that despite the intentions of designers, outcomes can't always be predicted. While studying, I worked, I volunteered, I perfected that CV, and I was really keen to start my career as an intelligence analyst in London, where I was raped 6 months later. And now, I didn't ask why me at this point. No, I reported it to the police and I carried on. I focused on my career, climbed onto the property ladder, and I met and married the man of my dreams. That was my 29th birthday. And 6 weeks later, my world collapsed. It had taken 3 years, and potentially that promotion, that property, that soulmate and security for me to really process what had happened. Though my ability to feel, function and contribute at home and in the workplace was significantly impaired, and there were times that I doubted my own strength to survive the pain that I felt. I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, and I received a lot of help from the police, the Crown Prosecution Service, the NHS, rape charities, my MP, my employer, family, friends. I asked for and accepted help. And I grew, and I learnt that it was not my fault. And this life-changing event was recognised by senior professionals as something that may have hindered my potential. I was rewarded with valuable leadership training, and I learnt so much. Firstly, Vanessa Vallerly taught me that regardless of industry or personal experience, career women are frustrated. But we can work collaboratively to support each other and then pay our success forward. Feminism 1.0, women help women. Secondly, I learnt the value of authenticity. Leadership experts Mandy Flint and Elizabeth Hearn define authenticity as simply being yourself. Know your strengths and understand that they differ from individual to individual. My strengths? I'm analytical and emotionally intelligent. I easily see the human behind work-related problems, and I enjoy working collaboratively with them to solve them. So I applied these consistently, encouraged my colleagues to do the same, processes improved, productivity increased, and life became easier. With a healthy mind, authenticity had enabled me to reach my potential. So there is no more why me, simply this is me, an intelligent, capable and passionate individual who has been harmed by gender-based violence. That's why. So, why now? Well, primarily it's because I'm still asking the same systems-based questions. What's changing? What's the impact? What's working and what isn't? And now I've taken off my rose-tinted glasses, I can really see the impact of gender inequality. Feminism 1.0 alone isn't working, but hope comes in our first reboot. Male allies, he for she, Feminism 2.0. Now, as well as women helping women, men are adding weight and volume to age-old feminist arguments. They lead by example. They call out misogyny, and they know an inclusive workforce brings better returns. And hope also comes in policy change. With the pay gap reporting and shared parental leave, we're starting to level the playing field. So things are looking up, aren't they? Or are they? Now, Eurostat report that following childbirth, 52% of women change their working patterns, whereas men, they remain the same. It's low at 7%. And Avenir Consulting found that of 74% of men who don't work flexibly, they state it's a fear of flexible working negatively impacting their career. Meanwhile, the Chartered Management Institute describe a glass pyramid, one where men, yes, those not changing their working patterns to accommodate family life, are more readily promoted through their organisations. Maybe it's a coincidence. And as for shared parental leave, the new fathers I know who haven't taken advantage confess, I come to work to have a rest. To which I say kudos to all dads recognising parenting is bloody hard work. But realistically, the prohibitive cost of childcare and the higher earnings of the man mean that for most families, unpaid parental leave is simply too much. Realistically, for most families, the prohibitive cost of childcare and the higher earnings of the man mean that most families simply can't afford for dad to take time out to bond with his child, which is unfortunate because the benefits can last a lifetime for all parties. So although feminism has done a brilliant job of identifying barriers and helping level the field, if men aren't or can't play along, and women continue to be paid unfairly and suffer violence at the hands of men, what more must our systems do to achieve gender equality? But I struggle talking about my experience and pay and working conditions when faced with this inequality. 3 times as many men take their own lives than women. For 84 men a week, there are no more options. And I have been this low, but I got help, and their help never came. And when looking at the higher rate of male suicide, the Samaritans list social transformations that could contribute to the epidemic. Male-dominated manufacturing industry is in decline, whereas women's participation in the workforce increases. Men are more likely to live alone as families break down. Women are emotionally and financially empowered to no longer suffer in silence. The global outpouring of Me Too demonstrates our anger at being objectified, and unapologetically, time is up on abusive relationships in the home and in the workplace. But these issues contribute to a male identity crisis or a conflict between what a man believes and what society tells him he should be. It's a bit like telling me I belong in the kitchen without a vote, and where rape is simply bad sex. But A Call to Men UK call this conflict the limitations of the man box. Now, in the man box, a man should be successful in the boardroom, bedroom, or ball field. If not, the man box limits his options to ask for help. He should be powerful, dominating, and fearless, controlling, strong, and emotionless. And I question, how does this impact our workforce? And how does this impact men's suffering? And this question ties in with Jackson Katz, a male ally, who in his TED Talk demonstrates how confused the gender equality debate has become, how focusing on the victims of sexual violence is counterproductive, and how we must shift our focus to ask, what's going on with men? What was going on with the men the night that I was raped? Were they imposing their notion of success in the bedroom upon me? Were they fearless of legal reprisal? Or was this their demonstration of dominance and power? I will never know. But psychiatrist and violence expert James Gilligan says, I have yet to see a serious act of violence that was not provoked by the experience of feeling shame or humiliation, disrespect or ridicule. Now, these emotions lead to violence, yet are in direct contradiction with the qualities of masculinity confined by the man box. We must break the man box to unleash these emotions which provoke violent outcomes. And our catalyst for change, I believe, is that the robots are coming. PricewaterhouseCoopers suggests that in the next 30 years, automation will impact our workforce for both genders, but women may benefit. This is because we are overrepresented in industries that require a high level of social skills and empathy, nursing, teaching, and care work. And at this year's Global Economic Forum, Jack Ma stated, we must evolve our education in order to reflect automation. We must empower our children to understand what makes us competitively human. It's our values, our beliefs, our ability to work collaboratively and to care for others. So I say feminism 1.0 and 2.0 are incapable of achieving gender equality. Men and women face different threats and different barriers, yet automation is going to impact us all. That's why now. So what next? Well, I call for Feminism 3.0 to tackle killer stereotypes. I want the systems that have held women back for so long to recognise we aren't the only victims, and I want women to use their experience of challenging harmful norms to help men break the man box. When faced with killer stereotypes, let's kill a stereotype. We've seen the backlash against toys and clothes telling girls to smile and be pretty. Now, what about our boys? Fearless, strong like daddy, champ, hashtag kill a stereotype. For every violent outcome linked to shame, humiliation, disrespect, and ridicule, hashtag kill a stereotype. You see, my issue with the everyday sexism hashtag is that by solely focusing on the experiences of women, we are missing an opportunity to understand the stereotypes which impact us all. And I want a society free from all stereotypes. Race, age, disability, sexuality, it doesn't matter. Instead of male allies, let's all be allies. And by focusing on education, equality, and mental health, I believe we can face the threats of automation as allies better together. Society's future lies in a skilled and educated workforce where the restrictions of stereotypes are removed and an individual has the power of authenticity. Productivity is maximised when authenticity is embraced inclusively, where mental and physical barriers to reaching potential are removed. And society is enabled when this diverse and authentic workforce can respond with resilience to global transformation. But to achieve this, we need to be better informed. Failing to reflect women in the workplace equally has a cost, as do violence, mental health, and suicide. But men commit 78% of violent crime and are more than 3 times as vulnerable to the risks of suicide. So surely to achieve gender equality, feminism needs a reboot. And I call for this to tackle killer stereotypes. We need to reflect that with a rise in resources to reflect the full extent of inequality. As women strive to break through that glass ceiling, let us use our expertise in challenging industry, government, and media in order to break this man box. As we empower our daughters to identify and challenge stereotypes, let's teach our sons to do the same. And as we acknowledge our daughter's capability and right to be whatever she wants to be, firefighter, fighter pilot, or surgeon, let's ask, why aren't our sons told they can be nurses, childcare providers, and secretaries? Because by acknowledging a woman's ability to undertake a traditional male role without simultaneously acknowledging a man's ability to undertake a traditional female role, aren't we implicitly undervaluing feminine traits, those which Jack Ma state are critical to humans' future success? And how does this impact a man's ability to be authentic? In my experience, a direct contributor to productivity and mental health. The Good Man Project catalogues experiences where men are told to man up and be the boss. But what if that isn't true to that man's character? Now, for fear of reprisal from women who say that I'm wrong to focus on men when we still have so far to go, I vehemently say, no, this does not contradict the needs of women. Let me remind you, we have been fighting for decades, and we have reached this point. We still fight for a seat at the table, and we still suffer at the hands of men. We are also trapped in this man box. So we don't only owe it to our sons to teach them how to be happy, authentic, productive, and healthy citizens, we owe it to ourselves and our daughters. And for the male allies who want to save me from myself, that as a woman I have enough on my plate without taking on men's problems too. Ditto, the man box is my problem. Actually, it's not my problem, it's our problem. I would call for the next era of feminism to tackle killer stereotypes and recognise the power of authenticity and automation as our catalyst. Women help women, men help women, men help men, and women help men. It's time to tackle killer stereotypes. It's time to kill all stereotypes. It's time to break the man box. Thank you.